Hi everybody, welcome to my channel. My name is Rebecca and I am here today to do my tarot predictions for my month of March in my Witchy bullet journal. If you'd like to see that, don't forget to stay tuned. First, a little bit of a ramble. So, if you're not interested in the ramble, check the timestamps and you can skip on ahead. I just wanted to say I'm sorry about the last week being kind of radio silent. I did post in my community tab that my son started school. I had a dental emergency. A lot of shit happened last week. My house flooded. It was a whole thing. So this is just a quick little ramble to apologize for missing videos and also to say that if you want to keep up to date to what's going on with my channel, the best way you can do with that is to either A, follow me on Facebook, the link is down in the description, or B, subscribe and turn on the notifications, because if something happens with my videos, I always post in the community tab here on YouTube. Now, let's get into it. For those of you who don't know, I combine tarot and astrology to do some predictions for the months ahead and to come up with a theme for, again, the months ahead in my bullet journal. So I'm going to go ahead and do that here on camera with you guys. So what I need to do is I just need to get set up to pull some tarot cards. It's not going to be many, and see what we can find out, and we'll go from there. Okie dokie. So normally I set this up a little bit differently, but I have a limited space that's visible here on my camera. So this is a process I do for myself and that I also offer for clients at the end of the calendar year. So when I pulled my year ahead spread for myself, I'm just shuffling my deck off to the side because I can't riffle shuffle as well on my cloth, but I'll try. When I pulled my year ahead spread, I pulled the Judgment card for March. It is my second of 6 major arcanas for the year of 2022. So big year for me. And this is my Starseeker Tarot. And this is the Heavenly Bodies Astrology deck. Sorry about the shuffling. I find it very hard to shuffle on a cloth without the cloth moving all the fucking ways. So let me just give this a shuffle up and then we'll talk to you. So the way I do this is the main card I pull, which for March, which is mostly Pisces season, I pulled the Judgment card. And then I look at the charts of whoever I'm doing the reading for, in this case my chart, and I get some more astrological details and pull more cards based on that to get more details as to what the month might be about based on this. And then I just kind of interpret all the cards together in one big clump. The thing with the Heavenly Bodies is just they're place markers for the astrological connections to each client's chart, or in this case, my chart. And they just kind of tell me how many cards to pull, kind of a thing. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm pulling one card for me, and then I'm going to look at the bottom of the deck for a third card to see more details. All right, so for March. I didn't even really get to shuffle it. I mean, it feels a bit dissatisfying because I didn't get to shuffle it. So I'm tempted to challenge my tarot deck. I'm going to leave this, but I'm going to see if there's anything else before I look at the bottom. Is there anything else for details for March? And another card came right out. The Moon. Okay, and the bottom. I didn't even get to change the bottom. Okay. All right. Fine. Yes, I do sometimes challenge my tarot deck in that I tell it, if you really want me to have this message, you'll make sure it happens, even if I don't listen to you immediately. Okay, so this is super interesting. Let me get myself, let me get my cards moved around and just write down these cards before I forget. Okie dokie, so I wrote beside house 9 because that's what month this is for me. It's the 9th house. I wrote 7 of Cups. That's what I've got. And then I wrote up here the other two. I wrote the Moon and Ace of Wands. That way I will have all my cards I've pulled recorded. And this is the first step in my process. I do this first, and then I do my monthly goals and all of the rest of my setup based around this. So here's today. I have to move this out of the way. You can hear about this in my current tarot practice video, which is up above in the cards. And here I'm going to put my predictions. Let's just do it. March predictions. So this is what my February predictions looked like. Oh, let me put my date. February 21st, 2022. Okay. Okay, so let me think here. I like how I've done this, except I don't know. I'm just gonna put, okay, let's do this. I'm gonna draw a picture of the moon here. There, circle, I'll color that in later. Just because if you're new here, the moon is super important to me. So I'll just color that in. What I want to do is something nerve-wracking and vulnerable. So I want to be abundantly clear. What I'm trying to do is, what I'm really wanting to do is just read this. And I'm having trouble reading for myself, as I've mentioned in that tarot practice video, I believe it was. So I really want to just try talking to you guys as if I'm giving you the reading. But it's actually my reading. Now, if you find there are truths in what I say that apply to you, that's wonderful. I do not want anybody else's interpretations on my reading. And I don't want any judgments on my reading, because this is my personal thing that I'm literally just sharing. So I'm just going to ask everyone to please be as respectful as possible, because I'd really like to be able to just share with you. And of course, if you like my reading style, I do offer readings, the link's down below. And if you like the ideas of the types of readings, then you want to do some for yourself, that's totally a possibility. Just let me do my reading, is what I mean. So please be nice. Thank you. What's really interesting is this year started with the star. And everything was a lot. There was a lot of messages. My signs and symbol calendar got a lot of action. And then we come to this month. And this month, the card has been the Six of Pentacles, which hasn't been bad, but it's been really weird. It's been really, really fucking weird. And I don't quite understand and haven't quite processed all the things that have happened this month. Like, I don't even know what happened to February. January I remember very clearly, but February's just ended up being a very big blur of confusion. Let me look here. what I do know is if I go here to the beginning, my next card coming up, next I've got a streak of, this is the end of the first quarter. Right here. And then I have a first quarter, a second quarter is all wands. And then the summer quarter, oh, is that really interesting? Okay. I'm just trying to get a feel for what the fuck is going on, and frankly, I think I'm just too close to it to see it, and that's okay. I will see it when I get there, but a lot is happening. And I think that this month coming up for March, I'm feeling a little scared and a little excited. We've got the Ace of Wands, which is a card I pulled just a couple days ago. Actually, I think it was 2 days ago. Let's see. I pulled the Ace of Wands in a couple places, didn't I? Oh, it might have been in my monthly medicine. Yeah, I think it was in my monthly medicine that I pulled the Ace of Wands. I had the Ace of Wands for a daily card. And then that same day, I believe it was, I pulled it for a monthly medicine. That's correct. Yes. Okay. So I got this card twice in one day. And then I pulled this card yesterday. Nope, the day before, for my moon return reading. And that's what I'm thinking a lot about, which that was an extremely profound reading. So I'm going to make a note, first of all. Working with the lessons in my moon return reading. I also want to make a note that in a session with a client, I had the idea of new moon seeds. They're not just for immediacy. So what I wrote was, and I got this idea in a client reading, was that oftentimes I hear a lot of people talk about the new moons. We just set intentions for that specific new moon. So on the Pisces new moon, which is on the 2nd, I might just set intentions for just the Pisces new moon. And it occurred to me that I think I also want to be projecting and setting intentions for where I'm, like, from the Pisces new moon to the Pisces full moon, and so on and so forth, and letting that be a further cycle. So it's not just the immediate, but it's also a bit more long game. I don't quite know how that's going to look, but it's an idea I have, and I want to remember it, so I've noted it down because I want to do that starting with March. Now for the reading. And this is where I'm just going to ramble. I see a lot of struggle, and I see a lot of, it's just a lot of internal stuff that I'm seeing. And frankly, these two right here are what's driving it. It's more like this. It's going on underneath these things. So there was a lot going on in messaging that, like, having trouble with my own identities and having trouble just within myself, right? There's a lot of emotional stuff there in my reading from my moon return. It's the feeling like I don't present myself, and a lot of the time this very like even physically. Like I don't come across the way I mean to a lot, apparently, and it's really hard for me. What's funny is with this Seven of Cups, this is something that affects me emotionally for sure. And what's funny is there's this bright shining cup. There's this bright shining cup here that you would think by looking at this card would be the thing I would want to put my attention to, but it's not. And even though the traditional messaging based on this image might be about like picking the one thing, looking at things that seem like options, but really there's not very many options. This little snake here makes a huge difference in this card for me. So I'm feeling a lot like this card right now feels a lot like I've been trying to pull towards this when this actually is not a fucking interest to me at all. Like there's been a lot going on with my reading of like, I don't quite know how to explain it and how much I want to say about it. But I love the snake. The snake is the deeper layer into who I am. And please don't think of snake as just this evil creature that's been villainized by Christianity and other things, because it's so much more than that. Hopefully the people who hang out here are aware of that. But I'm not... Though the impressions people get of me are an accurate part of myself, they're a very surface part of myself. There's so much more to me than meets the eye. Like, this is what you see. This is what's going on. There's deeper things. There's darker things. And I don't mean darker in a bad way. I mean darker in like mysterious, romantic kind of way. I almost said I love the dark, which is really weird because I've always said I'm afraid of the dark. So I'm going to write that down. And that just might be my theme. Because I have this tendency to be terrified of things and say I don't like things that I actually really love. Like the dark, like snakes, like really dark aesthetic decks that just, I see them in, like the Marielle Tarot. The Marielle Tarot. I saw it and I hated it. Except I didn't hate it. I was scared of it. And I do that to my personal self a lot. This is so weird. And hard to say because I don't talk to anyone about this stuff except my spouse. So apparently I go from talk to no one to talk to the whole wide world on the internet. I'm scared of myself because I don't understand and I have trouble liking me, and I have things that have made it hard to feel like I can trust me. Like things happen in my brain that I don't understand, that don't actually make any sense, like intrusive thoughts. And that intrusive thoughts make it hard to trust your own brain. And the truth of the matter is, I don't want to be seen as like cute and fluffy. I have things that I want that run so much deeper than that. And I see that represented in these cards. I see this Judgment as personal transformation, and I fucking hope I'm right. My birthday's in March. My birthday's on March 30th. Because this Judgment card is talking about rising like a phoenix. We have the Judgment and the Ace of Wands up here. Both very fiery, obviously. The Judgment being like the phoenix rising from the ashes of myself, and the Ace of Wands being the inspiration point, the point where you feel like you're given that opportunity. So I really like those together as at least the opportunity for personal transformation. The funny thing is, I had a reading recently with the lovely Lisa Pappas. Would this be one of my videos without me mentioning her? I truly don't know, but her channel's linked up above. I'm a badass unicorn member of her channel, and so I get that's one of my perks. And she does offer readings as well. She is phenomenal. You can get all that info through her channel. I love Lisa to death. I recently had a reading where I asked her, how can I activate my inner fire? Which is really what I want to do. I don't want to be I'm not meant to be just a giant ball of water. I'm meant for more than that. I don't have just water in my chart. I have strong fire. And I feel like I've lost my fire. And I don't know how to get it back. And I've been trying to get it back for a few years. And it's a very long and complicated story. And I had a reading where I asked, how can I activate my inner fire? And what she told me was that basically right now my volcano is buried. It's buried by all the water. It's submerged. It's underwater. So I can't get to my fire without going through the emotion. So while the emotions are what's underneath driving this this thing I want to get to, it's also at the same time manifesting like this. And so I have to somehow try and figure to crawl through the emotional stuff that I didn't even really realize was emotional stuff to get to those things underneath that I want to. So I'm hoping that this month I'll be able to make some headway on that. I'm going to play some music here and write for a minute or so. Okay, so what I wrote is, I suspect March's themes are very tied to my most recent moon return reading and my February reading with Lisa. March is a good month to address my difficulties with my identity and to work through the water to find my fire and rise within it. The thing is, since we're already sharing here, the reason I have such trouble with this is because my whole life, everyone has put me into one singular box. My entire life. And I mean it, like everyone. The only person who hasn't done this to me is my spouse. And that is the main thing that gets us through all the moments where I have trouble with myself. Because they know there's more to me than that one box. They see it. And I have in more recent years found friends who also don't put me in boxes as much. But for a large part, everyone has. They just see that I'm loud and I talk a lot and I'm bubbly. And then so everything that I try to show them that is beyond that tends to get written off a lot. I've been accused of faking. I've been accused of I've been laughed at. I've been told I look stupid when I try to act tougher than I am, and that people can see right through me, and that, like, no one ever seems to believe me when I say I know about myself. So if you're watching and you're here at this point, take this as a message to just don't do that to people. I don't think any of my regular watchers here would be the type of people to do that, but just in case, don't do that to people. It hurts. When someone opens up to try and share a different part of themselves with you that they've never shared before, don't discount them. And don't make them take that part of themselves and put it away in a box for no one else to see. I did not need the piles of imposter syndrome that I have developed through my lifetime. I could have lived very happily without it. When I did my moon reading, I don't know how else to explain what these cards mean to me. It's just really the feeling that they mean this stuff. They mean the content of my moon reading. They mean the content, because it's all fire and water and spirit, because I have Wands as a fire card, Cups as a water card. Judgment is a spirit card because it's a major arcana, but it is a fiery spirit card because hello, flames. And the moon is a spirit card because, again, major arcana, but it is a water one because hello, moon, hello, water. This is a very obvious message to me about working through this shit that has very quickly started coming up. Like, since I did that reading, with Lisa, it has come up and it has boiled to a head very quickly. And the funny thing is, at the time of the reading, when Lisa was like, you got to go through the water and the emotions, I was like, but I'm fine. I'm happy. But I'm not happy. I'm not happy with myself. Because even though I'm always myself, I've only ever been a fraction of that self. I've only ever presented a fraction of that self, because every time I've tried to present anything beyond that singular fraction, myself becomes unwelcomed. I want to put here, I'm going to put a fire, because fire is a big thing that I really just want to have more of. Good enough. So I just added on the bottom of this page, I drew a fire. I fucking love fire. Fire is beautiful, and I am very fiery. I drew an Aries symbol, which I'm going to color in, and the sun. This is the glyph for the sun. I know it looks like a boob, but it is the sun. This is the glyph for Mercury, and this is the designator of the midheaven. All three things I have in Aries. And I wrote fierce, fiery, feisty. There are a lot of things I wouldn't change about how I've grown. And there are in a lot of ways, I am glad to no longer be the Rebecca I used to be. I also, though, in a lot of ways, really miss her. Because what happened was, I used to be all fiery. I used to act completely just fiery, and I was heavily driven by water and emotion, but I was just fiery, blazing everywhere, and I didn't care who I took out in my path. I didn't mean to take people out of my path, but that's what I was doing, and a large part of my actions and myself just didn't care, because I was just blazing away, fighting everything to just survive. I didn't realize that's what I was doing. And then when I got the dose of water, it completely covered everything. I allowed my pain and my fear completely take away huge parts of myself. I will never be the quiet person. I will never be the person who just goes with the flow. I will always be the fireball who blazes through and ruffles feathers and makes people question things and talks about the shit that other people don't talk about. I will always be the person blazing my own path, because that's what I'm meant to do. I believe we're all meant to blaze our own paths. I just somehow along the way forgot how to be her. And I don't know how to start. So I'm hoping that these cards mean that this year for my birthday, during my Saturn return, the last full year of my Saturn return, I'm hoping these cards mean that I will get the chance to relearn how to be her, but with more compassion and consideration and awareness, more control, so as not to cause unintended damages. More controlled fire, more manifested, more used. I guess that's it. I don't know if I'm quite gonna word my theme as learning to love my dark. I might write that. I might just tweak the wording a little bit. But now I am extremely emotional and profoundly hungry. So I'm going to just quickly color this in, show you the final page. I haven't picked my colors or anything yet. I will, but I'm just going to color this in and catch you up at the end. Okay, so I have this roughly done. I want to do this cursive in a bold color once I've picked my color scheme for March. And since I didn't mention it before, March, I can tell you, is my 9th house month, which is spirit and study. I think that'll work really well with this. I think this card implies a lot of back and forth in questions, and I think a good way to support myself during that is to close myself off to a lot of outside influence that could cloud my own voice within myself, and to really lean into experimenting and seeing my spiritual flow that I want, so I can have a bit more clarity. That's what I'm feeling about that. But otherwise, I'm going to end this video here. If you watched all of this, this video really means a lot, because I shared my personal reading and I talked a lot about personal stuff, and I'm hella emotional now. I keep starting to cry. So I'm going to let this go. You know all the drills. If you've been here before, there's links in the description. Leave comments, say hi. Again, please don't interpret my reading like I don't want that. Yeah. So I'm going to let you go here. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this weird video, and I'll see you again soon. Lots of love. Bye.